Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Tong, and welcome to today's Detox Your Mind. I'm very excited to talk about today's topic, which is about our mother or someone who had a mother figure in our mind. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your biological mother, but somebody who played a role as a mother who nurtured us, who protected us, and who taught us when since we were born or even later part of our lives. See, because in this Detox Your Mind series, mm, there are a lot of things that we may have forgotten about, but it is actually very interesting when we go back to when we were young and to start remembering the experiences that we had since we were a kid and how we reacted to certain situations and certain experiences, and then from there how we slowly progressed and become who we are right now. So today's topic of our mother or someone who played a mother role or a mother figure is someone who is extremely important to us in our lives. And so I would like you to think about this person. Like I said, it does not necessarily have to be your real mother, but someone who played that role. Okay? You see, because a lot of times when we interact with someone, especially as a child, when we are more impressionable, how we were treated, how we were nurtured, what we were taught or weren't taught, but based on our observation of our mother, how she fed us, how she spoke to us, and even, like some when we were kids, when we fell, did your mom come and coddle you? Did she kiss the area that was hurting to kiss away the pain, right? Or did she say, nope, come on, get up, stop crying, you're fine, it's okay. So how our mother even reacted to situations like that would have a pretty, big impact on us right now. And let me explain why. You see, every time when we fall as a child, how our mother reacted would actually create the foundation of our experiences in life. So every time when we fall and we hurt ourselves as a child, if your mother would coddle you and say, "Oh, poor thing, it's okay," and then and instead of asking you not to, I mean, to stop crying, and everything is okay, but she would, you know, kiss it away or basically say "poor thing" and so on and so forth. Now, if that was so, either way, whichever way your mother used to react would be something that you would expect in other people right now. For example, so if every time when you're hurt, do you expect somebody to be there to, for you to talk to and cry your heart out, and you want to hear things that you want to hear, like, oh, it's okay, um, and so on and so forth? Or are you the type that every time when you're hurt, in your relationships, in your career, in your social life, and when things get tough, instead of waiting for or expecting for someone else to talk to you and say everything is okay, um, you actually just bounce back up and just focus on what is more constructive. So these are questions that we think about because when we think about it, when we assess how our mind is right now, we can pretty much relate to that mother figure. You see, I have heard, oh, that, hey, but, my mother doesn't do that. My mother was like this. But you think about it because it must have come from somewhere. It must have come from somewhere. So it can be a teacher who was a mother figure for you, or it could have been your nanny, or a daycare center, somebody who was motherly to you, and that formed an impression, and that formed your your experience of how you should be taken care of, or what you expect every time you are hurt. You are hurt. So there's no right, no wrong, but it is just an observation of how your mind works. Okay? So for me, I remember every time when I fell, my mom would say, "Oh, poor thing," and I'd be crying and wailing away, and then my mom would say, "Oh, it's okay," and kind of like kiss it away and things like that. So she used to treat me like that. So and hence, as I was growing up, every time this is in hindsight, and it's not a fault. It's not a fault. I would always want to talk to a friend. If I'm not happy, I would always want somebody to tell me, oh, things will be okay. Maybe you should do it like this. And it was always that familiarity that there's somebody there who can actually help me bounce back. So it is that dependency that I was used to, and it carried it, and I actually have that kind of a mindset throughout my teenage years when I went to boarding school in the States. And instead of fighting for myself, I would call back call home to my mom, and I'll cry and say, it's really tough in boarding school and things like that. So, and then bringing that forward to when I've graduated from college, at work, that, and instead of calling my mother, I'll be calling my friends. I was like, oh, it's tough, it's stressful. My boss is like this, my colleagues are like this. So you see how there is a pattern from when I was a child, how my mother used to take care of me, and then how that actually spills over to my adult life. So it's very interesting. So, and I also noticed for people who grew up. I remember some of my friends when they fell that the mom would say, "Okay, it's all right. You're fine. Get up. Everything is fine." And he'll be like, "Oh, yay!" Jumping around. And although I mean, there was a bit of blood coming out, but everything was fine. And as he grew up, I noticed that he was not as um, he he could bounce back up much faster. He didn't have to talk about it. He wasn't as emotionally needy, lack of a better word, as I was. And I was like, oh well, wow, that's pretty tough. Well, I guess he could just what do I say? He could just figure things out perhaps without having to talk about it. So no right, no wrong. Okay, but if you notice that pattern, then you go, aha. So that's one of the examples. And another example is when we see um, how our mother takes care of us has a huge effect. Okay, takes care of it has a huge effect on what are our priorities in life. In my family, every time when there is a school vacation, and my parents would always, oh, where do you guys want to go? Where do you want to go? What do you want to eat? It's always about what do we want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And it's very, very common. So having grown up in that culture, which is always focused on me and what I want, I grew up having that experience of always thinking about me first, what I want. I want to do this, I want to do that, I don't want this, I don't want that. So my priorities were more self-centric. Okay, it was more self-centric because that was what the culture was. So again, it's not my mom's fault, but that was how she was brought up, and that was how she thought, well, since it's school vacation, and you ask your kids what they want. That's how you show your love. So because be because we were taught to always focus on me and what I want, so as we grow up, it's always about me, 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 me. So what is the downside to that? The downside is then we grow up always thinking about us first and not as compassionate, perhaps as selfless. We are not spontaneous to always help out with especially with the domestic chores at home, because we had helpers to do that. It was always the helpers doing it, so pretty much pampered. So when we grow up and as an adult, things are very different. Things are very different. So instead of always, and there was always a tendency of always wanting to focus in what I want and what I don't want. So it became very self-centered. Okay, and of course there are downsides to that because as we all know now, that when we always focus on the me and when we don't get what we want, that's where a lot of uh, emotional upheaval will arise. Okay, um, so that is a result of that conditioning that we've had, and that is why when we grow up, I want this, I want that, and I don't get it, and a lot of times you go into depression, or you get very angersome, or you get very irritated, very frustrated, very stressed because we're not getting what we want. And all our lives since we're a child, we were always asked, "What do you want?" And most of the time, we get what we want when our parents ask. Not all the time, because I remember every time when I go out to the shopping center, my mom, would be devastated because she cannot let me go to the toy store. And she would make it a point not to buy what I want because she didn't want to spoil me. But she will kind of spoil me in other ways, like what do you want to eat? What do you want to drink? So again, it's me, 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 me. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that when we understand how we were treated by our mother out of love, again, that develops a very strong foundation on our focus and our priorities in life. In life. Okay? So that's another influence that you can perhaps think about and see how our parents taught us. For my cousins in the United States, they were brought up to always serve the family because in the United States it's very expensive to have helpers, so they have to do everything and they have to always take care of the parents. So that culture of always looking out for others, for the elderly. So they had a different experience. So when I was in boarding school and when I, during the school holidays, I would go to my uncle's house to stay. I kind of had a culture shock because instead of asking what do you want, it's okay, now please help this, help that, do this, help the dishes, and so on and so forth. And that, so so I had a fair share of a few years growing up in that kind of environment. So it was pretty much well balanced in that sense. Okay. Another thing that is very important is as a child, the importance that our mother would place. What are the importance? What's the priority in in their lives, and how they react to difficult circumstances? How they react to difficult circumstances, be it um, you know having a bad day at work, having a good day at work, having relationship, how she handles our dad and the relationship, that has a very strong imprint in us, a very, very strong imprint. Although we may be very young and we may not be able to verbalize and understand a lot of what's going on when we're a child, but what because we're like a sponge, we're constantly observing. So how our parents prioritize their lives without even verbalizing it, that will somehow have an imprint in our mind. So, for example, if we always see that our mother is always at work, it's about work, money, and and places a lot of importance on money, and that and every time when like during our birthday or when we ace our exams, they'll say, okay, I'll get you a gift, and we're always rewarded by something when we achieve a certain result, okay? Or we're always given something, or there is always a lot of emphasis on, okay, mom is going to buy this branded handbag or buy this house. It's always about abundance, material abundance. Again, when as a child, when we grow up, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? Money, money, money. So what topic are you going to major in that's going to bring you a lot of money? See, that's in Asian societies in general. I'm not saying all, but in general. Okay, especially so in my household. So it's about money, and without money, you're going to suffer. So money equates to happiness, because with money, that's in my family, in money, then you can buy things that you want, and it'll create a sense of security, quote unquote security, and your life becomes more comfortable as a result. Okay, because my family did not come from a wealthy family. They had to work very hard to be where they are right now. So, having said that, that's why the emphasis is on money. So, I grew up with that thinking that, okay, well, material abundance or money is the focus of life. So, and if I don't get promoted at work, if I didn't get what I wanted in my career, then it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of irritation, a bit of anger comes in, self pity, um, questions. I mean, everyone will just go through a certain reaction of disappointment, and there's so much politics because everyone is fighting to be promoted, to be the best. Why? Because, well, everyone wants to get more money. So again, it's about me, and having that notion that, well, because as I grew up, mom placed so much importance on material abundance, so it must be good. It must be good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying that that is the thought process that was shown to us, or to some verbalized to us, and it kind of went in deep down in our subconscious, especially so in Asian families. Okay, I think there are questions from the audience. Sharon, many of us mothers are guilty of overloving our kids. How can we love our children the right way? Well, that's a very good question. Yes, we can be carried away with our love for our children, or for our love for anyone we, whom we, who are special to us, be it your spouse, be your partner, even your pet. You will always want to spoil them. Now, for children, I know it's easier said than done, but that is why when we practice mindfulness, when we practice mindfulness training, there we're able to control ourselves and focus on what is most beneficial for our children. All right. So just put yourself in another person, like as a third person looking into your family, and you see how you should treat your child, how you should treat your child. Sometimes because we're very, that there is a soft spot in our, in our heart. And go, okay, well, it's all right. I'll give in. I think a lot of us know how to not spoil someone, all right? But because they are related to us, we always give in. So it is always about the control. It's always about the control. Certain certain qualities in life needs to be instilled into children, into children. Of course, we want to protect them and from anything that is not nice in society, unpleasant people, and so on and so forth. But there is a downside to that. When we keep protecting them, there is a downside. And what's the downside? The downside is to them, the reality is their reality is so perfect because they don't realize that mommy or daddy has been protecting them. Okay, so everything is wonderful. Everything will be taken care of. All right. So you don't have to pay for the mortgage. You don't have to pay for your car. You get pocket money and so on and so forth. So everything is taken care of because mommy and daddy are there. So then they grow up having that notion that, well, life is pretty easy. If I don't like it, then I just throw a tantrum like I throw a tantrum to mom, and she'll somehow give in. So with that, when they are in the adult, they don't have that resilience to overcome a lot of issues in life because life is very unpredictable. And anything that we want to pursue in life takes a tremendous amount of effort and determination. And without it, you don't go, well, you don't achieve much. Nothing wrong with that. But again, when we are set to achieve things in life, we need to be more focused and we need to be more consistent and determined. Okay, so this is just the basics of surviving in our society. All right, so coming to Sharon's question, so thinking objectively of what is necessary. What do we, you see, our body, speech, and mind what we do, what we say, and what we do will rub off to the children. They may not be able to verbalize it, but if you say something and, let's say, oh, for example, oh, you shouldn't be so extravagant, with, I just bought you a laptop last year. Why do you want the latest laptop? Or, well, I just bought you a pair of nice sneakers. Why do you want it again? And there you are, but you yourself are spending, and splurging and going on nice vacations and so on and so forth. But to them, their way of splurging, because mom is splurging, so why can't they splurge too? And you tell them I got no money and whatever it is that you tell them, so they will see a bit of a hypocrisy there, a bit of a hypocrisy. So you have to be very, very careful with what you say to them and what you do. Most of the times, most effective ways of parenting would be to walk the talk. What is your priority in life? That would rub off to your child, to your children. That would. Okay, if you want to instill, like I always share with my friends, if you want to instill filial piety, taking care, every parents want their children to be filial. And in Asian families, our parents always say, when I grow old, make sure you take care of me and be filial and so forth. And they always harp into our mind, be filial, be filial, be filial, be filial, be filial. And I know, there are many people who are not. And they would just say, oh, I'll just get you a helper and the helper will just take care of you. And that's the version of being filial. And a lot of times, parents want the children to be around. It's not just about having a helper take care of them. It's more than that. It's more than that. Just like, think about it. When we were a child, do we want our nanny or the helper to take care of us, or we prefer our mother? It's that same thing. It's that connection that that they want, that we want, and that they want as well. All right. So coming back to filial piety. So how do we instill filial piety? Well, when your family has this culture of doing a lot of charity or helping people every week, once a week, or once every 2 weeks, consistently. It is in the family culture to go out to help out in the animal sanctuary, help out in the orphanage, help out in the old folks home, anywhere, whatever the charity is. When you put that and if that is part of the child's reality, the world, what quality are you instilling in them? You're instilling a quality of being caring, being compassionate, being kind, and being selfless. Selfless. Looking out for people in need and help. So when you instill that quality in them, then when you grow old and when you are in need, then spontaneously they will help you without you even asking. Okay? Because otherwise, if you, of course, there are exceptions, but if you raise the children whereby it's always about me, 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 then when you grow old, then you see, because it's always about them. So if their world is self-serving and not looking out for others who are in need, then when you are in need, the best they will do is hire a helper to assist you. It's very logical. But like I say, there are exceptions. There are exceptions. Okay, so that is one thing um, that we can help, that we can actually help develop a child's mind. Okay, and also it is very good to practice mindfulness training with the child, because with mindfulness training, you are able to help the child develop more control of the mind. When you control the mind, you control the emotions. A lot of times, children become very emotional. They can't help it because they don't get what they want. So they may throw a fit, they may cry, they may throw a tantrum, and so on and so forth. So when we actually meditate with them, okay, or what I call mindfulness training, where you just focus on the breathing, when you do that 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day, you will notice that your child becomes more calm. And when you ask them to focus, because well, they've been focusing on the breath every day, it becomes instantaneous, and they bounce back to what they need to do, just like that, just like that. Okay, so I'm just sharing. So I'm just sharing with you a glimpse of what parents can do. Okay, and some of you might say, hey, I work very hard. Of course, I'm going to splurge. Well, you have to be careful. You have to be careful, because when you splurge, you will need to somehow instill certain values into them, that splurging is like you are, how would I say, rewarding yourself from all the hard work that you do, but that is just a small percentage of your life or your reality, and you outweigh that with, well, during school holidays you have to, let's say, work for your money, do part-time, so that you will realize that making money is really very, very difficult. And when they work part-time outside, they will get a glimpse of what reality is, what the world is like. And from that, they'll be more prepared. So instead of waiting to graduate from college, then they'll be more prepared. So it's about preparing them for the real world. So, and as every parent would want the child to be independent and to be fine and to be able to fend themselves. Okay, so that's for parenting. So coming back to our mother, I would like you to think about how your mother has been nurturing you ever since you were a child, and you look and how and your observation of your mother or somebody who is mother-like to you, and how they deal with different situations. Okay, how they love someone, how they feed someone, perhaps, how they care for someone, and when they are met with difficult situations, challenges, how do they react? Are they dramatic about it, very emotional, very stressed, or they are on top of it and they just handle it like a professional? So that would actually rub off of us. Okay, and then from there, when we understand where it comes from, then again we can choose. See, now we are clear, because a lot of times we think, I wonder why I behave like that. Just like my teacher says, you are very much like your dad, JP. You're very much like your dad. And I would say, but you've never met my dad, Rinpoche. And Rinpoche said, no, it's when you talk about your dad, and Rinpoche said that he could actually pick up and understand how my dad's personality is. And then from there, he said, actually, you are very much like him. So, but that's my dad. And there's certain parts of me that's very much like my mother. So it rubs off. It rubs off. Okay, although we don't realize it, but it does. So this is actually the first step to detoxing our mind. Okay, so think about it, and if you do meditate, or if you don't, when you're sitting on a sofa or anywhere quiet, think about it, and go back all the way when you were a child and see how your childhood was, and how your relationship was and have been with your mother, and how that has led you to be the way you are. Okay, so my time is up, and thank you very much for tuning in tonight about the topic, my mother. And for those of you who have signed up to do the workshop after this at 9:45, I'll see you shortly. So have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.